Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this huge invisible system, a whole world of data, secret codes, and forecasts that pilots use every single day to navigate one of the most powerful forces on Earth, the weather. This is the complex network that keeps all of us safe in the air.
You know that feeling, right? You look out the window, you see lightning flashing way off in the distance, or you're flying over this massive blanket of clouds, and you can't help but think, what are they seeing up front? Well, the truth is, they don't just see through it, they understand it, long before they ever get close.
All right, so let's dive in. A pilot's toolkit is this really cool mix of old-school charts and super high-tech digital displays. This combo gives them a layered way of seeing the atmosphere. Everything from the big national picture of weather systems all the way down to the very specific conditions at one single runway.
You know, the first battle against the weather is actually won on the ground. Hours, and I mean hours, before any passengers even think about heading to the airport, a pilot is already deep into pre-flight planning. And guess what's priority number one? Yep, the weather.
A pilot's first stop for this info is usually a specialist at a flight service station. They'll ask for one of three types of briefings. A standard briefing is the whole shebang, the full deep dive. An abbreviated one is for, say, a quick update after a delay. And an outlook briefing? That's for getting a general feel for the weather on a flight that's planned for much, much later.
Now, to get the most precise, up-to-the-minute information, pilots have to basically speak another language. It's a special code that crams a massive amount of weather data into just one line of text.
At first glance, this looks like total gibberish, right? This is called a MADAR, which stands for Aviation Routine Weather Report. And believe it or not, every single character in this crazy-looking string is telling a pilot something absolutely critical about the weather at a specific airport right now.
So let's break this down, because this is where it gets really cool. KGGG, that's the airport. 161753Z is the date and time. 14021G26KT tells us the wind is coming from 140 degrees at 21 knots, with gusts up to 26. Then you see that plus TSRA-BR? That means a heavy thunderstorm with rain and mist. BKN008 means there are broken clouds at 800 feet. All of a sudden, that jumble of letters and numbers paints a very vivid and, frankly, pretty stormy picture.
So here's the crucial takeaway. A METAR tells you what's happening right now, like a photo. But pilots also need to know what's going to happen. And for that, they use something called a TAF, which is a forecast for that same airport over the next 24 to 30 hours.
Okay, so understanding the weather where you're taking off and landing is one thing. But what about all those hundreds or even thousands of miles in between? For that, pilots have to zoom out and see the big picture.
This is called a significant weather prognostic chart, and it's a fantastic way to see how forecasters map out hazards over time. See, the panel on the left gives predictions for the next 12 hours, and the one on the right looks ahead 24 hours. Pilots can see exactly where turbulence is expected, where the freezing level is, and which areas might have really bad visibility.
And this chart? This gives pilots the strategic overview. Seriously, think of it like a weather battlefield map. It shows all the high and low pressure systems and the fronts that divide them. This helps a pilot understand why the weather is doing what it's doing, not just where it is.
Right, but weather doesn't always play by the rules or stick to the forecast. So once the pilot is actually up in the air, a whole new system of real-time alerts becomes absolutely essential for navigating any hazards that pop up.
Two of the most important alerts you'll hear about are airmets and sigmets. So an airmet is a warning about weather that's mainly a problem for smaller planes. Think moderate turbulence or some icing. But a sigmet, now that's a different beast. That stands for Significant Meteorological Information, and it's hazardous to all aircraft. We're talking severe turbulence, volcanic ash, the serious stuff.
And then you have the most urgent alert of them all, a convective sigmet. This gets issued for the really, really nasty weather. Severe thunderstorms, massive hail, even tornadoes. When a pilot sees a line of storms lighting up the radar like this, a convective sigmet is what gives them the critical details they need to stay far, far away.
So far, we've talked a lot about reports and charts, which can feel a little old school. But today's technology brings an unbelievable amount of this data directly into the cockpit, right in front of the pilots.
So this is a modern glass cockpit. That screen can lay weather information right on top of the navigation map. I mean, we are talking live radar showing rain and snow, data on lightning strikes, cloud tops, winds at different altitudes. It is a complete, dynamic, living picture of the weather ahead.
So with this absolute fire hose of data beaming right to the plane, you'd think the pilot is seeing the weather exactly as it is, at that very second. I mean, it seems obvious, but is that actually true?
And the answer, which is pretty shocking, is no. In fact, the Federal Aviation Administration puts it very bluntly with this quote: "In-cockpit NEXRAD depicts where the weather was, not where it is. That radar image in the cockpit, it's not live. It's a picture of the past."
And that delay can be huge. The radar image is actually created by a whole network of ground-based stations. Then it's pieced together into a mosaic, and then it's sent up to the aircraft. By the time it finally pops up on the pilot's screen, the real weather, especially a fast-moving storm, could already be miles away from where it shows. That data could be 15 to 20 minutes old.
So the next time you fly, remember this. While all that technology is an incredible tool, it's the pilot's deep understanding of this entire invisible network, from those coded reports and forecast charts all the way to knowing the limitations of their own instruments, that is what truly keeps you safe in an ever-changing sky.